Auralog is the world's largest provider of language learning software. We offer now 9 languages. We have French, Italian, German, Spanish, Dutch, Japanese, Chinese, and English, both versions, British and American, and we will soon have Arabic. Auralog is a 15-year-old privately held company that has about 150 employees. And Auralog has always been dedicated to the publication of language learning software. And today what I'm going to do is to provide you with a demonstration of that software. I'm going to bring your attention to our progress chart at this time. This is one level of French beginner. You'll notice that at the top of the chart you have pictures, and these pictures represent activities. Simply by putting your mouse over a picture, it tells you the nature of that activity. So here is a glossary. That's a mystery phrase. That's a crossword puzzle. And there are 25 separate and distinct activities. Now to the left side of the progress chart, you have the topics of the lessons. There are 12 topic lessons in this level, and there are 6 revision lessons. Keep in mind that we have levels that range from beginner to business. One level is equivalent to approximately 200 hours of coursework. It's a very rich content. What I'd like to bring your attention to now is the fact that the learner has the ability to select the learning priorities that correspond to their objectives. I have selected listening and speaking, and have not selected reading or writing. As a result, the squares that don't correspond to the learner's objectives are disengaged, and they cannot access those squares. Going back now to access all of the squares, I simply check those activities. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Lisa, et vous? Notice that I'm having a dialogue with my computer. I'm obligated to say one of these 3 sentences according to the question that is being asked. If I say the answer properly according to the difficulty level of the speech recognition's current settings, I get a passing score, a green box appears, and it takes me to the next screen. Now, what would the learner do if he or she could simply not say the sentence appropriately enough? They would have one of 2 choices. They could simply click on the speaker to listen to what they're obligated to mimic. And if at that point they still could not say it properly, they would double-click on the sentence itself, and it takes them to a waveform amplitude interface. Let me demonstrate. Give me a purple square because I will not say it properly. Je ne sais pas. Je ne sais pas. The idea here is, let me bring your attention to the advanced scoring system down here. But before I do that, let me explain to you the waveform amplitude interface. This indicates strength, speed, energy of the student's voice. The top one is the native speaker's recording in French. I am obligated to mimic visually this frequency to come as close to the native speaker as possible. If I do so, I get a higher score. Notice the one word that is highlighted in red. This is a proprietary technology to Auralog and is known as SETS, or Spoken Error Tracking System. Simply by double-clicking on that word, I can practice this word in the same waveform amplitude interface, or the next word, or the next word, or the entire sentence. After I have practiced enough time to get a passing score, I would go back to the progress chart, go back to the activity that I was working on, je ne sais pas. And now that I've practiced enough with the waveform, I could come here and get a passing score. Some of our clients have noticed that with some of the languages, perhaps Chinese and Japanese, they are very tonal. So the pitch curve and the waveform is very helpful in overcoming impediments with language training. Moving on now to an alternative activity, I would take you to a phonetic exercise. There is indeed an international phonetic alphabet. These are called phonemes. To the left of the screen, you will see the phonemes that are associated with this level and this lesson. By simply clicking on one of the lines to be able to practice the sounds that are difficult for the learner to say, I can come here and double-click the sentence, and it takes me to a 3-dimensional animation. Watch now as the mysteries of 3-dimensional animation unfold before your very eyes. By simply clicking the picture, notice the written description. It helps me to be able to understand how to place my lips, my mouth, my tongue, whether or not my vocal cords vibrate. Very beneficial from the learner's perspective. Take a look at this. This is basically linking of the opposites. I have here an obligation to click, and I can click on the check mark. It will help me understand whether I'm right or wrong. In green is right, in red is wrong. Okay, so this is a linking of the opposite exercise. Moving on now to the next exercise, I have the ability to simply click on the word that corresponds to the blank in the sentence. In a later exercise, I'll be obligated to verbalize that word. But right now, I'm just needing to click on it. Où habitez-vous? If I'm right, as you can hear, hopefully, the clapping sound. If I'm wrong, I might hear a crash or breaking glass. Now, by right mouse clicking on the word, you will see a drop-down menu. I can come here to this sentence as conjugation of the verb. It will take me to a book. We have many books. We have grammar, conjugation, glossary, and dictionary. But right now I'm in the conjugation book. It has automatically taken me to the place to understand how to conjugate this verb in all of the various tenses, in the present tense, in the past tense, and all of the other tenses that are available. Simply by clicking here, I can flip the page to see the other tenses that are available. Now, moving on now to the next activity, this is a sentence building or a syntax structure exercise. I would be obligated to drag these words up to the box at the top. I will simply drag them up and hopefully build them in a way that they are correct. I can ask, are they right or wrong? If they're in green, they're in the right order. If they're in red, they're in the wrong order. So what I can simply do is to move them around to the point where I'm bringing them up in the right order. Once I bring them to the right order, they are all appearing green, and I hear clapping again. Again, and in a future exercise, I will be obligated to verbalize this sentence. So it has some redundancy built in, which is positive from the learner's perspective. Let's take you now to an alternative exercise. This here would be a video. This is a live animation video. The learner will see a long video.
C'est étonnant ce qu'on peut retrouver au fond de son jardin. Des fleurs sauvages et plus petits encore, des insectes.
Notice that at the end of the video, the learner will simply be obligated to answer a series of multiple choice questions. Over here is what is being said in French, and here is the English translation. What is actually being said is in white. I can turn the translation feature on or off, okay? And excuse me, at the end of the video, the learner gets a series of multiple choice questions. They were asking here, what do I discover at the end of the garden? I will answer, I see perhaps some wildflowers, and I saw a zebra. Now I can come here to ask, is my answer correct or is it incorrect? In red is incorrect, in green is correct. Now, I can then double check to go back to the portion of the video where the answer is given. I can listen to the video again, I could look at the picture, or I could read the words. I can then see perhaps that I do not see a zebra, but I do see insects and wildflowers. So I will come and I will deselect zebra, and I will select insects. And I will now ask if it's right. And if it's right, I will hear clapping. Okay. Now I will go back to the progress chart to see how I have done. The learner receives immediate feedback, and the dark blue represents the percentage of activities that are done correctly. The light blue represents the percentage of activities that are done incorrectly. Keep in mind that the learner at any time can use the drop-down menu and ask their personal tutor. Auralog has become world-renowned because they have included teachers in the pedagogical process of language training. These teachers can see the work that the student has done and can comment and answer questions based on the work that was being done at the time the question was asked. These teachers will know exactly how long the student has worked, the activities that they have worked on. They can provide encouragement and they can answer questions. And they simply do that by typing the question in there. Notice the characters that would not be available on the American English keyboard. To access these characters, you would simply click on them here. These are characters that would not be available on the American English keyboard. And to send that away, you would simply click here and send it away. I'm not connected to the internet right now, so I'm not going to be able to send my teacher the questions. And that basically concludes the presentation. For those of you that would like to know more information about Auralog and its offerings, you can certainly contact us in Arizona, or you have the ability to look at our website, and that would be www.auralog.com.